Alrighty guys, good morning. Gonna go over the volcano stuff with you. So as I'm going along, just make sure you're making updates and changes and things like that. So you should have that a volcano is just a weak spot in the Earth's crust, and what comes up and out of it is magma. But remember, the difference between magma and lava is that lava is outside of the volcano or above the Earth's surface, where magma is below the Earth's surface, both of which are considered to be melted rock. Um, Oftentimes they're going to occur at convergent boundaries. So plate boundaries, specifically the convergent ones. And I know we've talked about the Ring of Fire before around the Pacific plate. So that's why they're located all on the outside of those plate boundaries there. The three different, I'm not going to say types, but the three versions of your volcanoes, they can either be active, dormant, or extinct. So an active volcano is currently erupting lava. A dormant volcano is one that's not currently active but could become active again. And then an extinct one is it's highly, highly unlikely that it's going to erupt again. So there's two different ways that volcanoes can form. They can either make a chain of islands called an island arc, or they can be formed over a hot spot. So with the chain of islands, those usually occur at those plate boundaries. So two oceanic plates are converging, and the heavier plate is going to go underneath or subduct underneath that lighter plate. So that's what an island arc is. A hot spot, you get volcanoes formed there because it's usually in the middle of a tectonic plate. It's not going to be on the outer edge. And for whatever reason, that particular area is particularly hot. You've got a lot of hot magma rising very close to the surface. And so it basically melts through the crust, and then you start getting your volcanoes forming that way. So that's how the Hawaiian Islands were formed. They were formed over a hot spot. Now they've since moved away from that hot spot, so they're not likely to erupt again. But that's the difference between an island arc and a hot spot. Island arcs around the edges of plate boundaries, hot spots usually in the center. Two different types of volcanic eruptions. You've got explosive or violent eruptions, and then you've got effusive or non-violent eruptions. The explosive or violent eruptions are the ones that you usually see on TV or like in a movie, where it's just spewing ash and magma and all that stuff. So in order to get those very violent reactions, you need to have lots of pressure, lots of gas bubbles, because if you're all familiar with boiling water, you know that when the bubbles get to the surface of the water, they pop. It's the same thing. When it's popping, if you're not careful, you can get splattered with a little bit of that hot water. It's the same concept here with volcanoes. When those bubbles in the magma pop, it's going to shoot the magma out into the air. It might shoot some ash, cinder, which is basically small pebble-like volcanic rocks. So those are the violent ones. The effusive or the non-violent ones are under lower pressure, so they've got fewer gas bubbles. So it's more of an oozy flow instead of a crazy explosion. So that one will produce both quick and slow moving lava. So parts of the volcano, you're going to get a worksheet here in just a little bit, and you're going to have to label these parts here. But the magma chamber is the part of the volcano that's underground, where the magma is collecting. This is where the high amounts of pressure are going to form in order to push that magma up and out of the mantle. So, and that pressure is going to cause those cracks in the crust to occur, so that they can then turn into the pipe, which is the mechanism that the volcanoes are going to use to push that magma up through the crust and onto the surface. The vent is where the magma actually is able to come out from the magma chamber. So this is on the surface. The throat or pipe, These are going to be tubes. There's a main pipe that's going to usually come straight up from that magma chamber. There can be smaller pipes coming off the side. The throat is usually the small portion of the pipe that's right at the very end, right before the vent. But this basically they're just the tubes that the magma is going to travel to get to the vents. By the way, there can be more than one vent. There's usually a main vent, but there can be other vents on the sides of the volcanoes. The crater is the depression at the top of the volcano. Sometimes you have a crater, sometimes you don't. Usually you do. But basically what happens is after everything's, one of the first times it's able to push that magma up, everything kind of collapses back down into it, causing that crater. So sometimes the vent is at the bottom of your crater. Sometimes it's going to be more on the sides of your volcano. So, and then you've got your lava flow coming down the side. It's kind of self-explanatory, which is why I didn't put anything there. It's just the lava running down the side. Okay, we've got 3 different volcano shapes. You've got a composite volcano, and you've got a cinder cone, and you've got a shield. I'll show you pictures of these on Monday because I don't think I've got pictures of them. So I'll show you the pictures on Monday of these. A composite volcano is sometimes called a stratovolcano. Sometimes the reason why it's called composite is it layers ash and lava. So it'll shoot out lava, then it'll have some cinders, and then it'll shoot more lava out, and then it'll layer it again with more cinders or volcanic ash. They have somewhat steep sides because they're going to be expelling that lava, which is going to run down. So their shape is always changing when they're erupting because that lava is going to cool off and start helping to form those sides of the volcano. So cinders, remember, little bits of volcanic rock. Usually, not always, these stratovolcanoes are going to have violent eruptions. Your cinder, they look like, and then by the way, they kind of look like a volcano, like the Hollywood version of a volcano. A cinder cone, this is a shorter one. It's very steep, but it's usually a little shorter. They also usually have a crater at their summit, which is at their peak or their top. Because they're called cinder cones, they're going to expel cinder. They're not going to really explain as much magma. The magma they do expel is going to be cooled very, very fast once it's been pushed out. So most of it is going to be that volcanic rock. And then their shield volcano, they're going to be a little broader. They're going to be a little bit wider. They're going to have low slopes. And then the lava is going to flow out easily. So that's kind of why it's lower, because that lava is able to come out and just flow down and create that lower slope. So make sure that you have changed anything that you need to. Make sure that you have added the things that I've told you about, because I will be checking those on Monday. The next thing you're going to get, is your worksheet here. Okay, so I have it on a blue piece of paper so you can kind of see it a little bit better. But you're going to get 2 pieces of paper, which I don't have now. You're going to get this one, and then you're going to get this one with all of the inside version of it with all of the labels, okay, and the definitions. So what you're going to do is you're going to cut out your volcano. You're also going to cut out the inside part, and you're going to cut out all of the terms and their definitions. So this is important. You want to make sure that you, once you cut them out, you want to cut on the dotted lines here to make a little flap. Okay, so because you're going to put the definition behind it, you're going to put the term on top. Now, I did not learn from my mistakes, so I found the easiest way to do this is to go ahead and glue your definitions on the back here. So I glued my definition here. I don't know if you can see it. I glued it directly on the back here. Okay, so then I could see through the little window here. Okay, do the same thing back here. Okay, so once you have that cut out, turn it over, and then go ahead and glue the definitions to this page, not this page, but glue it to the back of this so you can see it. Then you can go ahead and glue your labels on the top part of the flap, okay? Then glue everything, then glue this part onto the paper. Don't do that first. And then you're going to put this one over it, okay? So you can see there's a little bit of glue space right there. So I put that over it so it's kind of a little flip book. So I will check this and I will check your notes on Monday. So I'm leaving this with the sub. So if you want to look at it just to see what it is I'm talking about, depending on how well you can see this, I'll have that for you. So the sub will have it for you. So if you do have any questions, I will be on Google Hangouts on Sunday at 7. So just log on or email me. I do have internet access, but I won't be able to check it all of the time today. So I'll try to check it over lunch, and I'll try to check it in the afternoon. So if you do have any questions, just let me know. But like I said, I'll definitely be on Sunday. So other than that, don't forget that you also have your types of forces notes due on the back, the convergent, the different landforms formed by the different forces, so the compression, tension, and shearing. So you need to do that on the back of that. You need to make sure that you have your earthquakes outline from Wednesday filled out and done, and the little flip book filled out. And the sub does have that as well. If it's not in today's folder and Friday's folder, ask them to look in the Thursday folder, because the sub from yesterday might have left it in there. So, but again, questions, just email. Otherwise, have a great weekend.